Hello and welcome to the Reds Report, Barnsley FC's longest running podcast. Proud to be part of the TalkSport Fans Network. I know it don't look like this is our Christmas party. Everybody has excuses. Mine is, right?
Miserable,
I've had a
miserable
really long
sod.
traumatic day at work and I've just got in. Steve is moving on Monday, so his is packed. And Ian did come in on a Christmas jumper, then looked at us two and thought, "Stop that! I'm not wearing mine." So, but it is our Christmas party.
Lasses, that's why.
It's a very Merry
It
Christmas.
was your lasses' Christmas jumper, weren't it?
Me lads, not me lasses. Thanks very
I
much.
thought you said your lasses.
No.
So it's a very warm welcome to our Christmas party. First of all, Reds Report, Ian, are we in the spirit? Ho, ho, ho. Are we ready for a Christmas party?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Ho, ho, ho.
All right. And always his festive self. Steve Andrews is here as well. Steve, are we feeling festive?
First thing, I took to lock up when we were getting ready to move were all Christmas decks and Christmas tree. And believe me, they're not coming back while January. So there you go. Bar humbug.
And his favourite film is The Grinch. Anyway.
It is actually.
Boys.
Did you know that?
Boys, last week we talked a lot about that Herbie Kane interview and we talked about, is there stuff going off around behind the scenes? And we find ourselves 1-0 down at Reading. And I think it was the 39th minute, Barnsley get awarded a rare penalty. And who steps up to take it? But Herbie Kane. Yeah. Ian, the first thing I said was, he'll miss this. Because I thought he'd had quite a bit of flack on social media. I might as well be honest. I'm going to be honest. It's a resolution for next year. Decent penalty. And it proved to be the start of a bit of a turnaround as well, wasn't it? Because, especially in the second half, flashes of how Barnsley should be playing and what we should be expecting week in, week out.
Yes, I thought it was. I didn't think it was going to be an easy game, despite the turmoil that they're in. It's not a happy stomping ground for us, and you never know what Barnsley's going to turn up. First half wasn't the greatest, but the penalty, good timing in the half, got us back in it, and in the end, a very happy 3 points. But it's just like us to get penalties and miss them, like we did at. We did it somewhere last. We won 4-0 somewhere. Was it Forest Green at Charlton or somewhere where we got a penalty and missed it, but scored the rebound. So you probably weren't wrong actually betting for him to miss, because it'd just be our luck at the minute, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. And Steve, it was interesting to hear that afterwards. The Reading sort of commentary and the fans of the podcast pointing a finger at their manager, saying that he had a chance to change things and didn't, and Barnsley, he wasn't afraid to make those changes, didn't he? I mean, we've talked a lot about Jallo. We'll talk a little bit more about him later because he had another fantastic match yesterday against Spurs in the under 21s or 18s or whatever it was. I know it's often like for like, but we have got that little bit of strength in depth. And somebody like Jallo, when he came on, made a difference, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I think his hand were forced a little bit through injuries and what have you for people that he could bring on. Incidentally, if anybody wants any tennis balls, I've got a bag full. So I've managed to collect a few of them. Any Reading fans listening, surprisingly. No, second half, you've got to say that we did play some semi-decent football. I must admit, I have had a couple of run-ins this week, not unusual for me on Twitter. One particular photo, I believe, came out where they're all in a huddle after one at goals, and Herbie Kane stood at side of them, big cheer and all this sort of thing, and they're saying, "Yeah, this is the passion, and this is what what Barnsley means to Herbie Kane." And I just thought, well, a load of bollocks. He weren't even stood with team. He was stood on his own. Whether he thinks that's going to get people back on his side, when he scored penalty. And I'm sure some people are going to say it don't mean out, but when he scored penalty, he went over into corner. A few players went over to congratulate him, and he turned his back on Luke O'Connell. So anybody who wants to tell me that that's not true, watch it again. So I don't think there's any love lost there. I still think the interview was quite damning. I was surprised he played, but like I said, injury-wise, I suppose it forced his hand. Second half, yeah, he had a decent 15, 20 minutes, but it was more of a team performance, I thought. I've still got to say that I didn't think Phillips did much in that second half. I think J-Lo coming on did create a lot more excitement, he made some lovely runs. And this time, I think we found that some of the balls going through from midfield, which we've been lacking, actually found the targets, and 90% of them came from Luca Connell. So make of that as you will.
It is something we need to keep an eye on, though, isn't it, Ian? Because twice now somebody scored and gone off injured. I mean, I thought I like Andy Idem. I know we were messaging, and I thought he could still do a job for us, couldn't he? Because when he got the ball and he was making things happen for them, and it's sort of, you look at that, I think we just let him go, didn't we? He was captain. We just let him go. But when he went through on Watters, I don't know if he meant to do it, but that looked like he looked in pain straight away, didn't he? McAtee was previously in the previous match, so that's two that could potentially be out for this week. We talk about strength in depth, but from a striker point of view, is Cole going to start with Cosgrove, or is Jallow now going to get on the pitch? Because obviously he's proven that he's won. Or can you play all three? How are we viewing that?
I think Collins is going to be easing Jallow in. To be fair to Collins, he has come out and said that he got in the squad ahead of Watters the other week, and he said he deserved it because of his performances at all levels in the club. So he is seeing it, he is recognising it, and he is rewarding him with. He got more than his usual sort of 5 or 10 minutes, didn't he, on Saturday? So, but I still think he might be reluctant to play him from the start. I might be wrong. Because of the contribution he did make at Reading. But I still think it's going to be one of them players that will ease in just because of his age and everything. So I would expect Cole's going to start, because Cole goes through spells, doesn't he? He goes through spells where he doesn't score for several games, and then he'll go on a goal-scoring run. That's how his goals tend to go throughout a season. And that goal that he scored at Reading, he's got to be full of confidence again, hasn't he? After a little barren spell, so I think he'll start, and I just think he'll keep Jallow from the bench and give him an option. He gives him an option off the bench, doesn't he? So I can see it being Cole and maybe Cosgrove on Saturday starting against Charlton.
Steve, it's also, listen, social media, you can't always believe what you read, but I think it's fair to say that given some of the performances we've seen, Barnsley might have a little bit of a job on to keep hold of some of these starlets. We've talked about Jallow. He scored the perfect hat trick midweek against Tottenham, left foot, right foot header, which is Van Genethen is it as well. He's been linked with a move potentially in the January window. It's ironic, isn't it, that two players that are fringe players at best because of their age and inexperience at league level are creating headlines for us just before the transfer period, and nobody's really worried about maybe a Devante Cole or a Luca Connell leaving us in January. Look, do you get drinks, bro? I ordered mine half an hour ago, and I'm still waiting.
Come on,
service. What service?
Service with a smile. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
Is it
service than our front men get?
Yeah. She's playing Saturday.
Is it? How important is it that we hold on to players like Jallow, Van Genethen, because they're the next big thing, but they need to do something for us first before we sell them on, surely? Or is that seen as there's a quick couple of quid to be made on two youngsters that have been relatively had little minutes?
You'd like to think that we'd be doing all we can to keep him. I believe Jallow's still under contract while 2025. Unfortunately, these days contracts don't mean out that it's all coin that makes a difference. Like I say, I'd like to think Barnsley's going to try and keep hold of these players, but we've seen it before, and we've said it before. The businessman, if a bid comes in that they can't afford to turn down to a certain extent, you know for a fact they're going to go. You know for a fact they're going to sell him. Ideally, it's not them that will need to be sold. It's some at first team that need to be sold. But it's the first team regulars that are not putting themselves in shop window because they're not playing well enough. It's these younger players like Younger Nathan, like Jello, that scouts are now coming to see because people are hearing about him. People aren't listening about Callum Styles or all like that because he's not doing all. No. And it's these players that we need to be getting shut of. And other thing as well, I mean, there's a flip side to this, obviously. Jello needs to want to stay. Younger Nathan needs to want to stay. If they get, they get blinded by the bright lights of Southampton. I didn't know there were any bright lights in Southampton, but there you go. They might think that is a good career move for them, and you just don't know who's whispering in their ear, whether it's parents, agents, anything like that. To be honest, it's a roll that dice, isn't it? I'd like to think we can keep hold of them. I really do, but it's a funny old game, actually.
Yeah, no, it is. Ian, goal of the month is over again for November. An absolute stunner by Sam Cosgrove was voted by Barnsley fans as goal of the season.
Jeff.
Just to reminisce, just describe, because that had skill, it had grit, it had determination, it had finesse. That's a goal that's got everything, and we'll still be talking about this goal in years to go. Just describe it again, and how happy are you that Cosgrove not only got his name on the sheet and he got a goal, but the type of goal? Because wow, I mean, Ronaldo would be jealous of that one.
Well, for those who've not seen it, he picked it up in his own penalty area. He took on 10 outfield players. He got it on his right. He flicked it up and volleyed it into the top corner and then run round into Pontian with his top off. Yeah, it was the strangest of goals, wasn't it? It was nothing like that.
No, we're nothing like that.
Nothing like that. Well, I think for comedy value, the goalkeeper made a rat prat of himself, didn't he?
Yeah.
I thought on the 90th minute, I'll go down because the refs are so soft with goalkeepers. It'll mean I'll probably kill another 60 seconds on the clock. We'll get a nice 0-0. Everybody's happy. And then he makes an absolute arse of himself. Ref doesn't fall for it. Gives the goal. And keeper's got egg on his face, hasn't he? So for comedy value, yeah, goal at season.
Yeah.
Just an injury update as well from the press conference today. Max Watters and Nicky Carron haven't been training, but the Reds will make a late decision whether they can be in the squad on Saturday. McAtee also not back in training, but will be in the very near future. Liam Roberts is back in training, and they will assess him. And obviously, next up for the Reds, it's horrible to say, isn't it? Because home has just been, it's been Marmite, hasn't it? It's either been, well, we scraped a result or just not going our way. Charlton. Now, I had Charlton down with all the transfers. I had Charlton down as one of the contenders this season. And that shows you how much I know about football, because there are a couple of places below us in the table. We're on 34 points, 19 played. They've played 19. They're on 27 points. It's important, isn't it, Steve, that we kick on? I know away we've been really good, but it's really important that during a busy Christmas period, we just get a result at home and continue on that positive foot forwards.
Well, let's face it, this last 4 to 5 weeks, we have been negative. Definitely, I have, because I've not liked what I've seen. It's not been entertaining, good football, and it's not. Anybody who says it has, you're watching rugby league. But that second half against Reading definitely is starting to move in right direction. I'm hoping Collins has got a better idea now of what he's doing. Maybe he's tried a couple of things that hasn't worked, and now he's trying a couple of things that have worked, and his confidence, hopefully with the team, can carry on forward. I'm still dubious morale-wise. I think there is splits in team. I really do. Just looking at them, I just don't think they're as all for one for all as they were last season. But again, it's a morale thing. We've got games come thick and fast now over Christmas, and if we can pick up ideally 3 points at home and a point or even 3 points away of at Christmas period, it puts us in good stead for January. Or it's all going to go tits up and it'll be another Collins Art situation, and Herbie Kane will be doing another one of these interviews where he says 3 words.
To be fair, these next 2 games are at home. Massive acid test, aren't they? Because, like I say, Charlton spent the money, you high expectations, and then Stevenage come 2 days before Christmas, who are still bouncing up there, aren't they? Top 3, top 4. So with our home form as well, it's a real acid test to see where we are at.
Yeah. And then you've between, so those are the 2 home. Then you've got 2 games. Boxing Day on the 29th before we then back at home again on the 1st of January. Port Vale away. I mean, they'll want some revenge for that horrible showing, the first game of the season, 7-0. And then Peterborough away on the 29th, which again, they're
not easy. Not easy game.
They're doing reasonably well, isn't it? So I suppose a lot will depend on who's fit and who we can choose from. But it's fair to say we shouldn't fear any of them, especially. Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because I'm going to say, especially given the fact that we're home, but that's maybe more of a benefit to whoever comes to Oakwell than it is for us. Is Charlton underperforming a little bit, do you think, Ian, with all the investment that they've made? And, I thought they were going to be, you looked at who they brought in and it's like, dark horses these. Well, there might be dark horses, but...
Yeah, no, definitely. I think a few tipped to be fair. So they are underperforming. I think if we were, it's funny, isn't it? Because normally, on a normal season, you would say at home, I'd probably fancy us to edge it. Away, they are very strong at home. But then this season, we're strong away and not as good at home. So you're thinking if we were at Charlton, you probably fancy our chances more than you would on Saturday. I still think we should have too much for him, I'd like to think. But you just don't know at home what Barnes is going to turn up and how we're going to play. I just hope that we do kick on from that Reading performance and put in we'll get 3 points on Saturday.
And Steve, it was important as well, wasn't it, that we finally went a goal down and then won convincingly, actually winning from a goal down. And whether it was a penalty that changed match, it doesn't matter, does it? We were 1-0 down and it didn't. And we ended up winning 3-1, which is our favourite score, by the way. I've said this before. It's another morale booster, isn't it? And let's face it, when we're at home, we look for anything. And, stars flying over, Santa, the Starlink, anything we can grab as a bit of good luck, we'll take it. So before, because it's not the end, but I do want to know before we go on to the next part of the show, Charlton at home then, Ian, score and the first Barnsley. If there is any Barnsley goal scorer, who's gonna get on the sheet?
Well, I said 1-1 at Reading and got it spectacularly wrong. So I'm going to go 3-1 Barnsley. So I'll get it spectacularly wrong again. First goal scorer, I'll go for Herbie Kane.
Oh, controversy. Steve, how do you counter that? How do you counter that?
1-0 Luca Connell. There you go.
Nice
and simple.
Nice.
I think it will be 1-0. I really do. I think it'll be another tight game because we don't play, for some reason, we don't play as free-flowing football at home. Whether it's because, I'm not saying fans get onto them, but whether they just feel intimidated to a certain extent because they've been crap up to now. But I think Luca Connell is getting back to his self. He were blowing a bit towards end on Saturday. So his fitness is not 100% yet, but I think mentality-wise and some passes that he were playing through midfield were really nice. So 1-0, and I think he'll get one on Saturday.
I'll go 2-0.
Be interesting, won't it? If those players that are not been training, I'd be very surprised if they pick anybody who's not been training all week and just throw them in. So you'd probably say Cadden's not going to play and Waters are not going to play. So it'd be interesting to see what the side is on Saturday.
You'd go with Cosgrove and Cole up front. I know we talked about Jallo, but he is. You have to protect him a little bit, don't you? And against a decent side, it don't matter anyway because it's going to be 2-0. Devante double. He's got his confidence back. I think it'll be 1-0 for a long time, and they throw man forward, and then Gasper Lapata gets the ball, brilliant ball forward. He goes past one, he goes past the other, and he makes sure that that in December he gets goal of the season event. I've seen it. I had a headache at the time, but I've seen it. I've seen it happen.
I'd like to see. I'd like to see Styles playing left wing back again.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think he didn't do bad actually second half on Saturday, and for as much
I
as
think
he
he
likes to
influenced
think,
far more than
as much as he likes to think there is a central midfielder or it's next Messi or whatever, he ain't. But that left wing back position, he has had a lot of good games and a lot of good outcomes down that side. So maybe he'll stick with him down left if Cadden's out.
Yeah.
So that's our forecast then for Saturday. We'll leave the other matches alone. We'll not be recording another episode this year. Steve's moving, and I'm going to have an operation, and Ian's got his Christmas party tomorrow, so he'll still be recovering next Thursday anyway. So we will be back in the new year.
He'll still be in cells on Saturday, are Ian, won't you, lad?
Somebody pass me that key.
We'll throw the key away.
And them stairs. Oops.
If we look back then at 2023, I mean, it's football is a game of two halves, but this year has been two halves. We had from January to going to Wembley, it was amazing, wasn't it? And a South Yorkshire South Yorkshire playoff final, ultimately disappointed as we know. Did we get a little bit, just a little bit of smugness, knowing that Wednesday might have won, but they had to wait like 50 matches or whatever to get any points on the board, or actually start winning a match. Looking back then, what's been the highlight? And I tell you what, to make it easy, we'll go from the beginning of the season to now, because it's no use a highlight, because in April we scored 4 goals, and that don't matter. From the first match of the season, 7-0 against Port Vale, up to now, what's been the highlight so far this year? Or something positive. Something positive.
Something positive. Khaled going. There, that's your positive for you. I hope he gets a bunch of flowers on Saturday when he walks around pitch. Same as Bassey did and what have you. And other lad.
Oh, yeah.
That's highlight.
I
think.
Go
on, Ian.
They'll probably put sticking in that Illumini or whatever they call it.
He'll get a shirt. They'll sign him up for one match so we can be in the program. Is it fair to say that, I don't know, it's early days, I know, after losing a complete defence, Kasper Lapata and Mel de number 6 are rising stars, and I mean regular players that are rising stars, where you think, I don't worry too much about them, because it was a big task to bring in, because it was a whole new, Thomas and Kitchen and Anderson were the 3 that started. All 3 are gone. So to rebuild at the back, fair to say that 2 out of the 3, and you can mention Shepherd, can't you? I know you're a fan of Shepherd, Ian, that actually defensively, the people we've brought in, we're not too unhappy with them. Let's put it that way. Is that fair to say?
And very fair to say. And I think if you had a fully fit squad and you put Liam Roberts in goal as well, I think you've got quite a solid, good basis of a good defence there. So yeah, I agree. There's out of the summer window, there are a few players that have been good finds, definitely.
Yeah. So, given the fact that it's Christmas very soon, so if we put the recruitment team and those on the good list, who is going on the naughty list? Who has been disappointing?
Oh, listen, not long enough, mate. I ain't got a big enough piece of paper. We know what I think. Everybody knows what I think. Players for me that need to get gone in January, definitely need to get gone. That's Kane and Phillips. I'm sorry, they do nothing for me. They do nothing for the team. Phillips is more of a disappointment for me. He had a decent season last season, chipped in with some goals, looked a decent player. This season, from day one, he has been a shadow of himself. He's been garbage. And for me, them two, Styles ain't going anywhere because nobody wants to buy him. But for me, they're the ones that need to go. Get gone. Go and ply your trade somewhere else because you think you're better than you are. And let's get somebody hungry. Get some of these hungry young lads in and get them playing.
Anybody else for the naughty list, Ian?
I agree with Phillips. I just don't think Kane will go. He's one of the first names on the team sheet, whether you like that or not. Anyone else for the Jordan Williams? Ever since he did that interview saying he wants to play at the highest level, and that could be the Premier League, his form's been nothing but dog shit. If I'm honest, he's another one who needs to look at himself and get back to basics, doing what he did do well, especially good bombing forward. I think some of it has been a bit unfair. He's been played out of position. He's not a centre half in the back three, but he needs to just get back, doing some basics, stop thinking about playing in the Premier League, and start putting some performances in a red shirt. That's what he needs to do.
You know, when you were a young nipper, Steve. I mean, I know it's a long time.
Oh God! Come in to play Ovis music next.
No. You know,
he was your grandbaker, was your dad?
And you know, when Santa came to school and he said, "What you need to do is you need to listen to your teacher and you need to try a little bit harder." If you could pass a little bit of advice on to Neil Collins, what he needs to do maybe a little bit better moving forward in 2024, what would that be?
Oh, that's a barbed question, isn't it?
I'm glad you got it.
What would I? All right, then I'm going to say what I would like to see myself, that I would like Collins to try, and that would be, if we're losing, if we're struggling, that he tries a different formation. Whether it means dropping back to a 4-4-2, he likes to play wingers, so play two wingers then, but do it as a 4-4-2. I'd like to see a little bit more fluidity. Write that one down. In his setup for team, in his tactics, because it does seem to be quite regimented all the time. It's very, very similar. And you watch your Premiership teams like Man City and what have you, and they're constantly moving, and it is a fluid system that they play. No, I am not saying that we're anywhere near good enough to play that sort of system, but it would be nice to see him on occasion, if something's not working, to actually have the balls to change it, and change it properly, as in move people with it.
Yeah,
should or shouldn't be playing.
I completely agree. I also feel that at times we just don't look comfortable on the ball. Before, and I know he'll go again. Phillips last year, when he picked it up in midfield, he'd have that run forward and he'd have a shot. We're not shooting much from outside the area anyway, but it looks like we get the ball and they take a touch and straight away they play it sideways. So it feels like we're almost, I don't know, like people are not comfortable going for, and maybe that's an instruction. Maybe I don't know.
Is it like it's like having a centre half as a manager? Do you think it's that sort of feeling?
Yeah, could be. I mean,
I don't know. Weren't Duff a centre half?
Yeah.
Oh, I know, but Duff were fantastic, weren't he? Oh, Duff were brilliant. Yeah, wow, yeah.
Do you not
on the shirt.
And that's confidence in it. Confidence in the players. The players are low on confidence, and
players, I suppose, in their natural positions and stuff.
Yeah, and that has again comes from the coaching staff as well, doesn't it? Those players, and I know we've harped on about it, and people will go, Michael Duff, he's dead to me, and all that lot. But you can't deny that the guy and his coaching staff got those players playing their hearts out for that shirt.
Yeah,
right. You heard fluidity. He'll galvanise them. I'm raising fluidity with galvanised.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Quick, here, download Words with Friends. Let's get cracking. Come on.
And Ian, we're not going to go through the squad because someone has wanted to tea. But if you had to do a report card, as we do in school, midterm report on Collins, out of 10, and you can go, 1 point behind the decimal, so you can give him a 6.5 or a 7.5 or what? Because if you look as an outsider in the table, you think, we're in 7th. We've got a couple of games in hand of those above us. Are we moaning too much? Do we want too much? What will be his scorecard?
I've been in some quarters lambasted for criticising him, and people are saying, well, we've got more points than we had last season and we're just outside the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. But I look deeper than that, and I'd give him 5.5. The away form's been good. The home form hasn't been. No plan B, not changing the formation. I still think there's a long way to go. I've not written him off, but I think 5.5 because I still think it is quite a poor league this season, and there is a chance of promotion, automatic. Even though Pompey are playing well, and I know they beat Bolton on Monday night, but there is still, if we can just put some sort of run together and get into our stride, we could get automatic because I don't think it's not as strong as it was last season. So lots of room for improvement. But to be fair to the bloke, he's moved back to this country, first proper big job, and we are in the hunt for the playoffs. So a 5.5 out of 10 for me, but they've got to start putting some consistency together. Let's have some. And how many fans I've seen it on social media all over. They're both stiff with his football. We want to see some flowing football as well as results, don't we?
Yeah. Last question for you both then. Now bear with me. It's not too late.
It's going to be long, isn't it? It's going to be one of them questions.
No.
Come back, you'll still be at it.
Took me in.
It's not too late to write a letter to Santa of what we want for the new year. Now, if you're talking, so Steve says Kane needs to go, Phillips needs to go. It's fair to say, we want someone in central midfield. What I want you to do is tell me a previous Reds player, that type of player that you want in that position. So don't go saying we want a goal-scoring midfielder.
Do you want
a Conor Hourihane, or do you want a Neil Redfern?
Yes.
Do you want a Darren Sheridan, or do you want a Martin Devaney? What type of player that we've had before is what's needed? I'm mentioning midfield, but it could be anywhere, can't it? So who would be on the shopping list?
Midfield. Totally agree midfield. We need a captain, is what we need.
Okay.
We need a leader.
So who are you looking at? So captains, we've had Hignett, we've had Howard, we've had Hourihane, we've had Redfern.
End of story. For me, if you can get that sort of player, which you can't because we're not paying that sort of money, we need somebody who's like an attacking midfielder who can play a ball, who can strike a ball. But you need a leader of men. That's what we need. We need a leader of men.
You mentioned Redfern. That sounds a bit like Hourihane as well. He could strike a ball.
Just because you like Turan, you can't. I want Redfern. I'm not even discussing it. Redfern. I'll go even further back if you want. We can go with Phil Chambers, and he were a right back.
No. That's way before my time.
Oh, Phil. Who did he say? Unbelievable.
Who's on the top of your shopping list then, Ian?
Well, I can't really disagree with Steve, to be honest. We've gone on about all season, haven't we, that the not enough leaders, who's the captain, the wrong man's got the armband, all that sort of stuff. But he's already nicked that idea, so I think we need.
I'm sorry.
You've nicked the idea, haven't you? I can't go and copy you. So I think
we want get John Stones in. He's captain material.
But in fairness, when he came, go on, Ian.
No. I would say, and I said about playing some attractive football, and you're talking about somebody who'll make things happen. I'd go for like an Adam Hamill. Get somebody who gets you off.
That's all my idea. That's exactly. Yeah. No, it's right. It's sometimes it's that sideways ball, like nobody's willing to try and make it happen.
Take a man on. Yeah.
It's listen, lads. Last episode of this year. I wish you both. I'm not going to sing, by the way. I know that's what you're waiting for. It's not going to happen.
Hallelujah.
I wish both. I wish both you and your families a really Merry Christmas. Steve, of course, we hope that the move to the new house goes smoothly. I hope the movers turn up on time and move you into the right house. I hope that by the second week of January, the Wi-Fi is working, so you can join us again. And
now
tell
then,
us about
put it this way, mate. It's be hoped it's working by second week of January, because Stevie boy's going to Spain for a week.
Oh, whoa.
That's not in the contract.
Rewind. Why?
I'm going to play golf. I'm going to play golf. Simple as that. Sorry.
Anyway, Ian, I wanted to tell you how much we appreciate it. Ian, you and your family as well, of course. Any idea when you're up over this side next to watch the struggle at home?
I'll have to have a look at the fixtures and sort something out, won't we? We'll have a few scoops before we go down to the ground, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at Oakwell. Recovery, hopefully, if everything goes right. I'm there for the Wigan match on the 1st of January.
I won't be making that, mate. There's no chance of me being able to drive over on that one. I'll tell you that now.
I'm not allowed to drink, so yeah, I'll be there. I'll probably be there at 7 in the morning. Get me out of this house. No, listen, lads. Thank you both very, very, very much. We will assemble again. Well, unless he's in Spain, and then it'll just be me and you, mate. And then we'll have to apologise and do some refunds for the ones that want the funny
You'll
one.
be able to show everybody your scar, mate. I hope your penis enlargement goes really well, actually.
It should be. I mean, I'm doing it in Turkey because it's cheap. It's cheaper.
The under teeth as well.
Well, turkey teeth. Turkey teeth.
Well, I was on about they're doing a 2 for 1. So no, let's just get this back sorted first, and then I'll have a look at that penis enlargement.
Shouldn't it be at front?
Listen, the least we say about the better. On behalf of Let's Report Ian and Stevie, sponsored by the Goba Tap. Not that he gets anything for it. He just likes mentioning the name.
Covered in mulled wine. Covered in mulled wine, mate.
Remember, we wish all of you a very, very Merry Christmas, a good, healthy and happy 2024. Remember, football is just 11 men chasing a ball and fans having their own opinions. Please join us again in 2024. Until then, you Reds.